about the other person. It's about me. It's about yourself. And taking responsibility for yourself means you have to take responsibility for your own sense of self. If you feel good about yourself, then this will come easy. Because when you get a negative comment, you will not feel the need to respond because I'm good. I'm cool. That's okay. I see you have a problem. You're upset about something. Let me help you with it.
Remember, when I say, I feel bad when you do this
No,
and that.
wrong, right? That's an indirect. I feel bad when you come late to dinner. I feel bad when you criticize me. No, you can't that's a you. You're using the you.
What's a better way?
I'm upset right now about what happened. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling distant.
Why?
Why? I'm feeling
Because you?
sad. we haven't spent enough time together. We haven't gone out in a long time. We're not having a sense of family unity, and I'm feeling alone. Words do make a difference. So, for example, I feel overwhelmed. I feel super anxious, right? Instead of using that awfulizing language, tone down the language. I feel challenged, I feel stressed. But when you use language on yourself, which is hyperbole, then you get yourself worked up. So let's use language which is more amenable to a warmer, intimate relationship. Okay? So not using the word you, using the word I. Now, what is the purpose of this thing called love? I just call to say I love you. I do that sometimes. I call my wife. I just call to say I love you. She says, "What do you want?" Lettering me up for something, rather, right? What is this thing that we all call love? What is love? Love is actually emotional security. We get married not for love, or we do get married for love, but the real reason we get love, the real reason we get married is because we want to be emotionally validated. We want emotional security. Out there in the world, it's a competitive, difficult, cutthroat world out there. And when you come home, you're expecting to be safe. How safe? Emotionally safe. You want to put your hat down, you want to put your coat down, your briefcase down, and say, this is the place where my incubation, my warm 4 cubits, Noah, God said to Noah, build an ark, 100 cubits by 30 cubits. Noah said, God, what's a cubit? Right? Bill Cosby, right? What's a cubit? In my 4 cubits that I live in, I need to know that I'm safe. I need to know that I'm emotionally secure. I need to know that I'm validated. I feel appreciated, encouraged, warmly accepted. That's the definition of love. So when we get criticized and put down, then it makes me feel like I'm not meeting my spouse's expectations. And a key word in building this emotional security, this cocoon of security, is trust. I trust that when I walk into my home, I am not going to be put down. I am not going to be criticized. Not going to be told that I am not measuring up to my spouse's expectations. And the key word is acceptance. I want to be accepted. There's one person in the world who I trust will accept me. And when we got married, I committed myself to accept the other person and is expecting to be accepted as well. When we criticize, it's exploding the sense of security expectation I have of coming into my home and feeling safe, emotionally safe. I feel like I'm letting my spouse down. And there's no worse feeling. It's a feeling worse than death. To feel like you are not living up to the expectations of your spouse. There's one person I want to get approval from. And many of us are walking wounded because we've come from homes where we did not get approval. Because parents don't go, our parents, was not fashionable to go 20 years ago, and 30 years ago, and 40 years ago to parenting classes. It is fashionable now. So we are working on ourselves to work on our marriages and work on our relationship with our children because it's in the air. Self-improvement, self-help books, courses, forums, seminars. But 40 years ago, it wasn't de rigueur. It was just after the war. People were just trying to survive. The war years, and after the war, baby boomers were just trying to rebuild themselves. Holocaust survivors, and they didn't have the emotional awareness or the emotional intelligence to be able to work on the emotional security of the marriage. Get on with it. One spouse or one person says to their parents, "I'm not happy." Who's happy? No one's happy. I'm not fulfilled. Fulfilled. Put bread on the table. You have bread on the table. You have a parnasa. You should be happy. I'm not happy. Who's happy? Who needs to be happy? We're just trying to survive. In our generation, we want more than just survival. We want fulfillment. We want contentment. We want satisfaction. We want self-actualization. Maslow's highest level of the hierarchy of motivation for living is self-actualization. But our parents and grandparents didn't think about that. They didn't have time for that. They couldn't afford that. They had to survive. Depression, post-year depression, war. So this is a luxury generation that we're able to work on that. And now we need it to find fulfillment and to find inner contentment and happiness. So many of us are walking wounded because we were told by our parents, "You're not good enough." Now, they didn't say that directly. You know? People said, when you bring them the report card, they said, "You got 96, so where are the other 4 points? What did he get? What did she get?" Right? Why'd you do that? Why'd you do it that way? And how many times do we say to our children, "Hurry up, carpool's coming, will you get in the shower already? Hurry up. Did you do your homework yet? Get into bed already. You forgot your lunch. If your head wasn't screwed on, it would fall off. Oh, here's Mr. Schlumpy. Tuck your shirt in, Schlumphead. Oh, here's our nuclear physicist. There we are. What'd you get in math? 62 again? Way to go. Ha ha. Hey kids, he got 62. He's a genius now. Wow. Oh, the kid goes, ha 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 ha. And inside he's dying. Right? But outside, he's got to play the role of the nuclear physicist in the family. Guess who that was? Me. I was the nuclear physicist. I didn't do all math. My brother was a genius. He's a mechanical engineer. Right? My father, an electrical engineer. But I was an artsy. I became a lawyer. Right? You know the definition of a lawyer? The Jewish boy who can't stand the sight of blood. And was lousy in science. That was me, right? So, I didn't make it. So I became an artsy. I took arts. What's that? Arts. Humanities. Humanities. You know, either you take math, calculus, science, physics, chemistry, or you're like me, right? Whatever that is. So I have to admit, the reason why I went into this field and got interested in this field of self-esteem and feeling good about oneself is because I am also walking wounded. I am also living through a childhood I was not good enough. I was good, but not good enough. People were better than me. And the parents were well-intentioned because they wanted me to succeed, drive, go ahead, do more, succeed. And I was pushed. And I did accomplish things. But it's a price. There's a price to pay. And so if you've experienced something similar growing up, negativity, criticism, put-downs, you're not good enough, we have something called unfinished business from our childhood. The definition of love is find out what is your spouse's unfinished business. Analyze where they came from. What home did they come from? What was the birth order? This is Herman Adler's individual psychology. Look up online, Herman Adler, individual psychology, talks about birth order. If he was the eldest son, eldest child, he may have had too much responsibility. Middle child syndrome, youngest child, baby. So we all have a goal in life to rectify or heal our unfinished business from our childhood. We have something that was missing in our childhood. I was put down, I was criticized, too much responsibility. I became the mother of the little children and therefore wasn't given my own childhood. I wasn't able to be a girl. I was always the mother, the second mother. I had a client just last week said, who wrote us an essay when he was 15 about his second mother. His mother and his 18-year-old sister, who was his second mother. And he comes to me, talks to me about relationships with his sister. And now she's so demanding and she's not really a confidant. She's putting him down, criticizing. Second mother. Children have to be children, not to become parents. So part of our process is if you want to show love, we have to do our own work to heal our unfinished business, discover what is my unfinished business. But we also have to ask our spouse, or the spouse has to intuit and say, how can I help my spouse heal from their unfinished business? That's love. So not only is love emotional security, emotional safety, where you do not put down, rather you praise, validate, appreciate, and verbalize it, and get good at communicating that every day. I'm going to say to my wife, I really appreciate you organizing our family. I appreciate you organizing the home. And you work, and you take care of the children, and you make dinner, and you organize the home, and you organize the appointments, and you work as well, and you see people and see clients. I don't know how to do it. I really appreciate what you're doing. And I say that at least once a week. And the air in the home is palpably different when I say that, even though she knows that I'm going to say it. I say it in different terms, different ways. She goes, thank you for saying that. Her voice drops. Just thank you for saying that. Question?
What if your spouse doesn't want to share their unfinished business, or they're in denial about it?
Well, it's your job to know it. You know the in-laws. You know where they're coming from. You can analyze pretty much right now, even without them telling you what they're unfinished. You live with your spouse. You know where they're coming from. You know their background. You know the family dynamic. And therefore, you can figure out.
What if you don't?
Discuss it with your spouse.
What if they don't want it? Because they're blocking it out.
Okay. Well, then, they can fill in one of the slots afterwards at 10 to 10 and we can talk. Right? If a person doesn't want to, they have to face themselves. Right? If you want to move forward in your life, you need to be comfortable with yourself. You have to be good in your own skin. That's your own responsibility. So, of course, I'm asking you to find out what your spouse's unfinished business is and help heal them. But the primary responsibility is the individual themselves to try to find out what is my own unfinished business and how I can work on myself to heal that. So the next 2 weeks, I would like an atmosphere of courtship to enter your home. Courtship is called Shekhinah. Shekhinah means divine presence. Divine presence means warmth, means security, means love, validation. So, do you remember the days of courtship? Can anyone here remember having criticized your dating partner that you eventually married during courtship for the 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years that you were dating and courting? Were you into that? Was anybody really? What? Were you apt to do that while you were courting? Anybody here? No? You said yes? You were? Okay.
He wouldn't propose. I threw him out till he proposed.
That's not criticism.
I did. I criticized your own already.
That's anticipation. That's not criticism. That's like, I want to marry you, so let's get on with it, right? Commitment, whatever.
I think I used the you a couple times.
Okay. Well, not anymore, though. The next 2 weeks, no. And courtship, did you criticize? Did you put down? Did you find fault? Did you look at the negatives? No, you didn't, right? Well, that's when things were blissful, weren't they? Things were heady, romantic, in love. You heard the music of the Titanic. You saw fireworks. Right? They could do nothing wrong. You were upbeat. You're doing well in business because you were motivated. Because you were in love. What you were in was, you were in emotional safety. You felt emotionally safe. And we called it love. But you felt motivated because you felt validated, protected, encouraged. And therefore you did your best. Your best came out. You were beautiful. You were handsome because you get complimented. Do you know that when I finish a session, and I'll do a session with you shortly about a meditation that we can do together, a person's face changes. The glow of their face, the aura on their face changes. If they feel complimented, they feel secure. They look much better, much healthier, much more wholesome, much more holistic if they feel complimented. Just watch it. And people say, you're looking good. Why? Because things are going well. So, our physical being reflects our emotional self. And here's an idea from Kabbalistic thinking. How do you say the face in Hebrew? Panim. Right? Panim. Do you know how you say the internal self in Hebrew? Pnim. Pnim means your insides. Panim means your outside, your face. Your face, panim, and your pnim are the same word. How could that be in Hebrew? How can that be? How could it be that in Hebrew language, the word panim and the word pnim are the same word? Because Lashon HaKodesh, Hebrew, reflects reality. So the word love in Hebrew is ahava. Let's write it down. Aleph, hey, vase, hey, ahava. In English, A-H-A-V-A, ahava. The root word of ahava is hav. Hav means to give. When Rachel said to her husband, give me children, she said, hava li bani, give me children. To which Yaakov answered and said, Hatachas Elokim anochi? Am I God that can give you children? I don't give children. But she said, hava li bani, give me children. You want love? The definition of love is the definition of the Hebrew word ahava, which means to give to each other. Giving to each other does not mean giving money. It means giving of yourself. Giving of yourself means you have to invest your emotional self by encouraging, validating, and that's hard to do. And therefore, marriage is not a 50-50 relationship. Can you imagine thinking of your spouse only 50% of the time? 50-50. Marriage is 100-100. You have to be emotionally supportive all the time, even when things are going difficult for you. That's your commitment. That's your responsibility. That's self-sacrifice. It's giving. It's hav. Ahava. So ahava, love, means to give. So therefore, what we're going to do is, you gave when you were courting, didn't you? You were supportive, you were complimentary, you got your dressed up your best, you were supporting the other person's emotional self and financial self and being there for them and taking time for them and spending time with them. So that's what I want to happen for the next 2 weeks. Be ahav. Be an ahava, in love. What does ahava mean? Ahava means have, give of yourself. Complimenting, praising, validating, and no criticism. There is a direct correlation between this kind of courtship and intimacy, sexual intimacy. When a person is relaxed and validated and emotionally safe, then intimacy is much more loving, much more open, much more trusting, and much more passionate. But when you are criticized and when you are knowing the other person does not validate you or hold of you or respect you or like you or approve of you, and it only becomes a lustful experience, then intimacy, it becomes domineering. It becomes exploitative. It becomes animalistic. It's lustful and it's good, but it's not wholesome. It's not emotionally satisfying. There's emotionally satisfying intimacy, and there is domineering. There is unsatisfying intimacy. And satisfying intimacy only comes when you are emotionally connected and emotionally supportive. Because in intimacy, we are vulnerable. At the most vulnerable state, when you bare yourself to the other person. So the definition of foreplay is what happens emotionally 24 hours before intercourse. That's what foreplay is. It's not the half an hour before, or the technical details of foreplay. Foreplay is 24 hours of emotional connection before one enters into the intimate aspects of marriage. So sexual identity, when you are expressing yourself